Hey, my name is John Michael Swift. Welcome back to UFAB, Ukulele for Absolute Beginners. This is a lesson on the pop box. Bet a lot of you have seen the Axis of Awesome 4-chord song video. If you haven't, well, I recommend checking that out. But if you have, this is the easiest form of those 4 chords I have ever discovered. And what I've done is I built this whole series around kind of working through this in the easiest way I could possibly think of, starting with the easiest chords and going a little bit towards harder chords, and then eventually getting to the really hard ones later, but making the smoothest path possible. But also one that's really flexible and you can use for as many things as possible. So you're going to find that most of the beginning songs in this series pretty much all use A minor, F, and C, which are all pretty easy to do. And there's a lot of, there's a gajillion songs you can do with just those 3 chords, even not even needing the 4th one. And then, even like Hallelujah. I've heard there was a secret chord. That's just C and A minor that David played and it pleased the Lord. So there's an incredible amount you can do, which is these teeny little things. But the way you do them matters a great deal. It's like if you don't do them with solid technique, it makes it a lot more difficult. So this lesson is going to take you through the smoothest progression I have for learning these chords, but also give you all the details of what I know to be, the best technique I can think of. The best way to hold your fingers and the best way to switch between the chords. And this is, this is not to be like, okay, let's follow a bunch of rules here, but this is to make it easier in the future so you can think less about the technique and more about enjoying yourself. That's what this is meant to do. So if that's what you're in for, you're in the right place. If you haven't yet, sign up for the UFAB course. Send us an email. We're going to try to get you help from real people. We've got progress charts to track where you are in the course, and also we've got all the tabs and all the charts that go with all these things, so that is often helpful stuff. So just send us an email, fairly non-committal thing, but we can get you attacked to a bunch of resources that'll make it easier. All right, that all being said, yeah, make sure you use the lesson navigator to kind of bounce around, just hit the time codes when you need to go back or go forward or whatever you feel you need to do. All right. Now it is time to get into this. I'm going to be explaining this stuff from the kind of right-hand standard position. I apologize in advance to all the lefties. I'll guarantee you all this stuff does work still left-handed, but I'm going to kind of use a little bit of right-handed description where it's like, the headstock of the ukulele is on my left side here. The body's kind of sitting on my knee and I'm tilting it up a little bit, or I might be holding it in the crook of my arm, one of the two. But either way, I should be able to move around fairly easily. Like this hand especially is totally free. This hand maybe kind of holds the ukulele up a little bit on my finger, but generally speaking, my fingers can move pretty freely. That's a pretty big thing. So once you kind of got that position down, now we're going to start with the C chord. C chord, C major, most basic one to start with. Very handy. Take your ring finger on your left hand, and right on the tip of the finger, this kind of bony tip of your finger, 3rd fret, 1st string. 1st string is the one closest to the ground, farthest away from your head. So you're right there on the 3rd fret. It's a little hard to balance with this finger there, because it's not the strongest finger, but trust me, make sure you use the ring finger, because it's going to make everything else a gajillion times easier. So take the challenge, really try to keep it in balance. Make sure it's got a nice curve so it's strong and you're right on that bony tip of the finger, right up to the fret. Not over the fret, because if you're over the fret you get that. If you're on the back of the fret you get well, kind of that. If you're right up to the fret, you shouldn't have to push that hard. And it's nice and clear. So check that a few times. Make sure you can brush it, and it sounds very clear. Now, next one we're going to go to, we'll come back to that chord in a second, see if you still remember it. The next chord is A minor. You go from the C. Your middle finger comes over to the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and your ring finger is going to let go. So it looks a bit like that. See this middle finger, 2nd fret of the 4th string. The 4th string is the one closest to your head. This one closest to you. So same thing. You got a nice big curve, so you're not, muting the other strings. It's a nice wide curve instead of being flat. Arched like so, and you're on the bony tip of your finger. It's all brushing nice and clear. And now real quick, I'm going to test you, see if you remember what the C chord is. Can you play the C chord for me right now? Do you remember where it was? If you remembered it, great. If you had any trouble at all, here's some tips to remember how it goes. Alright, so C, like the letter C sounds like C, the ocean, right? And the ring finger is, well, the one you get a wedding ring on, so it's like the promise finger. Imagine like a young maiden walking out on the pier, step, step, step. She takes 3 steps out onto the pier. It's on the string farthest away from you, so it's kind of like the pier going far out into the sea. That, you know, she's waiting for the person who she's going to marry. She's way out on the pier in the sea, you know, takes 3 little steps up there to wait for the person who she's going to marry someday. That's kind of like the picture I think of when I try to think of a corny way to remember how to play the C chord. Maybe that helps, maybe not. If that doesn't help you, come up with your own idea. Think about how you incorporate the fret number, which is 3, the string number, which is 1, string closest to the ground, with the ring finger, it's the finger you're using to play it. How can you incorporate those all into like an image that helps you remember how to play the chord? For me, it's like, you know, this, you know, pretty young maiden takes 3 steps out onto a pier and looks out over the sea to wait for the person she's going to marry. You know, ring finger, marriage finger. There you go. So that's a way to remember the C chord. With the A finger, well, with the A minor chord, slightly different thing I try to do. So A minor is a person who's under the age of 18, am I right? And, you know, it's kind of rude to give someone the middle finger, let's say, but you can imagine like a rude young person giving you the middle finger because they're too close to you, like 2 as in like more close than they should be, but also 2 as in the number 2, 2nd fret, and it's the string that's closest to you, to your head anyway, so A minor is giving you the middle finger because you're too close to them. How about that? Goofy little image I came up with to remember how to play the A minor chord. So, love them or leave them either way. Now though they're those 2 chords, see if you can alternate between them sort of like this. C, A minor, C, A minor. And now, if you feel you can move between those pretty easily, you're in good shape. Just double check you got a nice balance, you're keeping your arches high, and everything is being heard very clearly with every strum. So now, we've learned to play 2 chords, and we've learned how to switch between chords, which was really fantastic. Now, before we add the 3rd chord, before we kind of go into level 3 of doing the pop box here, I'm going to teach you about what I call ninja fingers. So one of the general laws of all fingering of all stringed instruments is you want your fingers to move as little as possible. One, because the farther they go, the more likely they are to get lost, and they do get lost easily. They're like forgetful little kids. And the more accurate they're going to be when they get put down, and also the faster they're going to go. They don't have to go very far. They're less likely to get lost, they're going to be more accurate, and they're going to be faster. So, I'm going to show you the next chord, but then we're going to start to learn to hold our hand in such a way that every finger is like a ninja waiting in a tree for its victim to come. And they're just waiting. They might wait there for days until their victim shows up, and then as soon as they're just walking down the path, whistling away, and then just swoops out of the tree and psst, dead. You know, you want your fingers to be kind of waiting right over the frets they're going to play, ready to strike, but not going until the time is appointed. But when the time is right, boom, they come right down, very quick. That's what we're looking for. So, start with the A minor chord with me. Remember, 2nd fret, 4th string closest to you, using the middle finger. Now, we're going to add the pointer finger to the 1st fret of the 2nd string. So remember, string numbers go, 1 is the one closest to the ground, 2 is there, 3 is there, 4 is here. So we're on the 2nd string, 1, 2, and then the 1st fret. Pointer finger, 1st finger, on the 1st fret. And you leave the 2nd fret on the 4th string right where it was. So you should be able to switch between A minor and F fairly easily. Give that a try a few times with me. Ready? Here we go. F, now A minor. Now F, now A minor. Again. One more time. So if you feel you have that switch pretty well, now the ninja thing you want to do is you want to remember the ring finger's kind of hanging out over here for where the C is. Now, The C, it's a little further away from where these other fingers are. It's not like real close by, but you should be able to hold each of these right over the fret it's supposed to be on. And as you practice a bit and your hand loosens up, it'll get easier to do. But for now, do your best to hold each one of those fingers right over the frets that it plays and just leave them there. They don't have to go anywhere. They don't want to flop out or like, fly out this way or that way or, turn your hand like that. You just want to keep them about a centimeter over the frets they're going to play. So when they play, they just go boop, right down on them. So what we're going to try to do is cycle those three chords very, very, very smoothly. So we're going to start on C, ring finger, 3rd fret, 1st string. A minor's ready, goes down. Ring finger comes up, A minor goes down. Add the pointer finger for F, and you release both fingers to play C again. Smooth motions. Keep the fingers in line to A minor. Now you're going to go over to F. And I'm going to go back to C, release both fingers. Same loop one more time. Release the ring finger, middle finger goes down. Add the pointer finger. And then take both fingers way back to C. So if you feel like that went pretty well, now we are going to add the last chord in the series. So the last chord in the series is the G chord. And one of the things I tried to do is edge into this one, because one of my students affectionately refers to this chord as the triangle of death. And it's one thing that throws a lot of beginners off at the beginning, so I'm going to kind of edge it into it slowly. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the C chord, because you know where that is. But then we're going to go to what's called an E minor 7 chord, which is going to bridge us into the G. So your ring finger is going to slide back 1 fret to the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Right there. It goes from here to here. And you're going to add the middle finger to the 2nd fret of the C string. So you kind of skip the 2nd string, go right to the 3rd string. Looks a bit like that. Take it away. Open. E minor 7, just like so. I'll kind of let you see how this goes. C is here. E minor 7 is here. Now I'm going to try to keep this finger kind of poised, but I'm not going to put it down until now. Switch back and forth with me a few times. C. Then over to E minor 7. And up to C. And up to E minor 7. Now if you can do that, you're at about level 3.5, let's say, with this. To really kind of nail it, we got to get another finger in there. You can do a lot of songs with just that. So if you're like, okay, I want to play some songs now, I'd encourage you to do that. If you're ready for a harder challenge, here we go. We're going to make it a full G chord. So when you get to the E minor 7, you're going to take the pinky and you're going to add it to the 3rd fret of your 2nd string. It's going to be a tricky finger to get in here, and a couple tendencies. People tend to have their fingers collapse a lot when they do that, so you want your wrist to stay nice and open. You got these nice kind of arches with your fingers, and rather than have the palm be way out, you kind of bring it in towards the neck and you let your fingers curl. See how my fingers are kind of curling up like this? That lets them stay arched on their fingertips, so they not only stay on the bony part that gets the string pushed down really clearly, but also doesn't hit the other strings by kind of flattening out. So you got a nice little closing the arch, get all that in there. E minor 7, add the pinky. The other problem is when you try to have your fingers kind of going straight across the frets there, it's tricky. So often I will take the wrist and just sort of turn it like that. It's kind of coming from the elbow here, like the elbow kind of lets your hand turn sort of like this. It's kind of like the Queen wave. Hello everybody, you know, like the Queen of England a bit. You kind of turn like that, just a little bit so. The pinky goes a little bit away from the neck. But what that lets it do is it kind of points down the neck now when it reaches. See, it's kind of going down the neck towards the sound hole a little bit now that it's turned. That helps you get into this triangle shape a little better. So instead of trying to go straight across like this when you reach, it goes that way. If you turn like this just a little bit, it's a little easier to kind of cram all those fingers in there. And I know this pinky's kind of a weak finger, but this is the fingering of this chord that's going to let us move to the other chords the most efficiently. So for now, I'm going to challenge you to use it, even though it's not the easiest way to finger this chord. But you're going to see in the very near future. It's going to pay off a lot to really learn to use this finger. So try to switch with me between C and G a couple of times. Let's give that a try. We start on C. There we go. C, slide back, add 2 and then 3 there. Then you're going to let these 2 fingers go, and back up to C with the ring finger. Slide back, pinky, middle finger. Release the 2 fingers you just added, leave the ring, slide it up to C. And then slide back down. One more time, let's take it home. Up to C. Now back down to. So if that's still having some problems, if it needs to go a little slower so you can get the notes clearer or you can get the notes fingered quicker, then repeat that section a couple times. If you feel like you got that, great. You are ready for the final pop box challenge, which is cycling between all 4 of those chords. So, here we go. The progression we're going to do, we're going to go from C to A minor to F to G and then back to C. We're going to do it slowly, but we're going to loop that 4 times. 4 times through that progression of 4 chords. And then, yeah, that's the challenge for the time being. Let's go with it. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. A minor, 2, 3, to F. 1, 2, 3, C. Think about G ahead of time. And 2, 3, 4. A minor, add a finger for F. 2, 3, 4. C. 2, 3, 4. G. 2, 3, 4. A minor, 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. C, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, 3. A minor, 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. C, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, 3, and well, there you go. So, if you can do that, now the world is your oyster. You can play gajillions of songs. Maybe not every song on the entire planet, but more than enough to keep you busy for the rest of your life. So, I highly encourage you to go out and explore that stuff. Sign up for the series if you haven't, so we can kind of direct you to some songs that you can do with all this stuff and get some people to help you along with it. But yeah, I mean, explore this stuff, go play with people, and go enjoy life. It's all good stuff. So yeah, thanks for sticking with us, and don't be a stranger.